Nova Online has now been found to not just be a PDF file himself, but succeeding someone on the throne in a kingdom first created in 1984 by his father, Thomas Daniels Gage. And by that, I mean Nova's father, Thomas, was a PDF file just like his son Gabriel is. And due to this information coming to light, man, oh man, is the chum not having a good time. Not only that, but it's interesting how his reaction has managed to paint him as an even more evil person than we thought before. What better way to start this conversation, though, than with what Nova's opinion on what we should be doing to predators is exactly.
Wow. What happened there, if
The
you don't mind
last
me?
time he texted me was to notify me my cousin got sent to prison for 10 years for being a chomo. Immediate wood chipper, feet first, slowest speed possible.
Wow, Gabriel, that's an awfully strong opinion to have. I'm sure a whole lot of people share that opinion with you. Surely that wouldn't change if it were found out someone real close to you were to be a predator, or someone else even more close to you. So this here is Nova's late father, Thomas Daniels Gage, if it wasn't already clear from their stature. But he was born February 4th of 1963, and for 22 years, you would have thought that he was just a normal, everyday, average guy. That was until August 20th of 1985, when he was 22 years old, where he would end up being charged with lewd or lascivious acts with child under 14, which of course landed him on the registry. Now this is absolutely disgusting and proves that Nova's father was a completely irredeemable person. But there's a crazy coincidence here, because Nova's victim was also 14 years of age, or younger. And of course I'm talking about the girl he asked this question to.
But how often do you masturbate?
And they say lightning never strikes twice, except we all know that wasn't the only time Nova did something predatory. And, just like his son, Thomas Gage, 9 years later, at 31 years old, couldn't control himself and offended yet again. But the most baffling thing that came out of all of this wasn't the fact that Nova Online's father was a predator just like himself. It wasn't their crazy resemblance, because that was expected. It's the horrific and disgusting downplaying done by Nova when he confirmed that yes, that is in fact his father. I commented on how you could leave it to a PDF file to defend a PDF file, but the harder you think about this, the worse it gets.
Yes, my dad was not the greatest person, but he was family. I still cared.
And I mean, he was good to you.
Yeah. He never did any of that shit to me.
It didn't happen to him, so he doesn't care. Dad wasn't the greatest, which is an abysmal understatement when talking about someone who not just offended, but re-offended, in essence, defending a child predator. Where exactly did all that conviction go when it came to what exactly we should do with these types of people, Nova? But of course, when it comes to his own family, his own father, in fact, well, he's family, I still love him, of course. I mean, he wasn't the greatest person, but he wasn't really all that bad because it never happened to me. That's wild. I'm sure those two young, at least at the time, victims still care about what happened. That's a disgusting, horrific, and unforgivable act that he engaged in not just once but twice. But this really just plays into how selfish he is. He couldn't possibly give less of a crap about any of these people's experiences with his own father. Doesn't care that his dad Thomas victimized two people. I mean, he's not the greatest guy, but he's still my dad. Of course I'm gonna love him. That's what really gets me there. But I think this whole situation opens some doors to some possibilities that kind of might explain why Nova is the way that he is. And of course, I'm not defending his actions whatsoever by saying this, but in a large amount of PDF files, they happen to have been assaulted in their childhood themselves, which is so incredibly sad, but it in no way, shape, or form ever excuses someone of their actions. It may, however, just help you understand what exactly makes Nova tick as a whole, because if he really wants us to believe that whole age regression thing isn't a kink of his, but is in fact a trauma response, it's kind of interesting that he would be trapped in an age that his father probably would have found to be the most, say, interesting to him. Now, Nova pretty angrily denies this, but I don't think this is out of the realm of possibility whatsoever, especially considering the fact his dad didn't learn the first time and 9 years later reoffended. I'm not just pulling the idea of this out of nowhere. There have been studies done on this phenomenon. And for example, this study done on a report of 344 males found that people who were abused in childhood were significantly more likely to offend in their adulthood. Of course, this isn't the only angle that you can take on this whole situation. In another study done by the University of Oxford, they found that family members of this specific type of crime are significantly more likely to offend themselves. Quoting the study directly, they say, the researchers looked at the share of sexual offenses perpetrated by fathers and brothers of convicted male sex offenders and compared this to the proportion among Swedish men from the general population with similar age and family profiles. They found that around 2.5% of brothers or fathers of convicted sex offenders are themselves convicted of sexual offenses. This compares to convicted sex offenders making up about 0.5% of men in the general population. Now, a jump of about 2% doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're talking about the population of Sweden, even just a fraction of the population, that's a significant increase in the amount of people. Now, again, the people in the study state they haven't found some sort of gene that determines whether or not you're going to be a PDF file or anything. It's just extremely interesting when you take a look at Nova's family tree, for example, and find multiple predators that aren't Nova in there. And just, of course, as a little side note, I'm in no way encouraging anyone to continue sharing all these extended family members' information. There were a couple of them who happened to be predators themselves, kind of confirming the research done in this study, but it doesn't mean that his whole family are going to be PDF files just like Nova and his father and I believe his uncle. It's not their fault that they happen to be related to a couple PDF files, and I for one would be pretty angry if I got thrown under the bus like that just because I have a couple shitty family members. But out of all this, I have a few questions that I feel like haven't been answered in their entirety yet. Was Nova entirely filled in about what exactly his father's arrests were for in 1984 and 1995? Was he withholding this fact, hoping and praying that all the people on the internet who call him a PDF file, call him out for his predatory behavior, don't find out that he actually comes from a long line of PDF files? I mean, if he grew up for a little while at least in a home that had a father that was an offender like that, how many disgusting behaviors were totally normalized in Nova's eyes because he grew up with them? And is that why he defended? Does he really think that he's innocent in all of these predator allegations that have plenty of proof of him being a PDF file himself because that predatory behavior was so normalized by his father or something? Despite, of course, what little logic and reason he may possess tells him that, all of that stuff that he's doing is incredibly wrong. I don't know. I'm sure some way, somehow, some of these behaviors may have been learned from his dad through maybe some secrecy or growing up with boundaries being a little negotiable. Either way, I don't think it makes Nova Online any less of an awful, terrible predator. He certainly doesn't deserve any of your sympathy points. Well, shortly after all of this, Nova Online, the official Figspeth and Atlanta hater over on X or Twitter, would have a 2-day-long meltdown about all this information, specifically very angry at Kiwi Farms, because it ended up being a user who goes by Peanut Allergy who spearheaded breaking all of this information regarding Nova's father, where he would make 6 posts spazzing out saying hashtag fuck Kiwi Farms or going, I'm going to pick up where Keffels left off, KF went too far, time is ticking for the vote's worst website on the internet, hashtag fuck Kiwi Farms, hashtag drop Kiwi Farms. Pivoting from all that new information coming out about Nova and his dad, we hit 10,000 subscribers over here at Mcgrubba, and I want to say a big thank you to the Mcgrubbas for that. But I made a community post about it, and very shortly after I made that post, Nova Online, the Novine universe himself, would comment under it, don't forget who got you there, Fufa. Just completely humbled me, completely stopped me in my tracks there. Now, I don't know about you fellas, but I would really like to see the thought process or the things going on in this guy's head before he comments things like this, because I wouldn't exactly want to flex the fact that other people have been enjoying me calling you a PDF file enough to subscribe to come back for more. Like, that's just absolute gold to me. Like, Is that a flex? Is he, trying to congratulate me maybe because he clearly watches all of our content, watches my content. If as soon as I make a post about hitting 10,000 subs, he sees it. Just really what a perplexing existence this guy has. Anyways, if any of you guys liked what you saw here today, don't forget to subscribe to, of course, come back for more. Maybe like and hype it up if you really liked it that much. And of course, for those interested, as a little celebration for hitting 10K, we are releasing on Steam as soon as we can Beat the Cow. Now right now, all we're waiting for is Steam to verify my identity, and then we're going to be listing the game on Steam. We'll be doing a little celebratory stream too to commemorate the occasion, so be on the lookout for that. And to anyone who's not the chome, I hope you guys have a good weekend, a good day, a good night, wherever you're at. Thank you for staying to the end. Later, Grubbas.
What's up, Mcgrubba? How you doing, Mcgrubba? I seen your video, man.